Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of Tales of a Death Doula. My name is Martha, and I am a certified death doula, and I help coach people through their fears and misunderstandings about death in order to learn lessons about how to live a better life. Death can really be a teacher for us about how to live a better life. In today's episode, we're going to be celebrating the Day of the Dead, the Dia de los Muertos. Today is November 1st, and across Mexico and in many cities across the United States and across the world, really, people are celebrating Dia de los Muertos by having festivals and parades. They will paint their faces like skeletons and skulls, have big posters of skeletons and skulls. They have yellow chrysanthemums and different yellow flowers that they decorate with in order to help lead their ancestors back to their home altars, where they have a time of remembering their loved ones that have passed on and remembering the lessons that their ancestors have taught them and kind of celebrating their life. So many people think that the Day of the Dead sounds morbid or scary, and the fact that they paint their faces like skeletons and they have the sugar skulls out in altars, they think it sounds frightening, but it's actually a very sacred time, a very joyful time, a time to remember the love and the beautiful joy of their loved ones' lives who've passed on. And it's like a love story. It's like a love story for your ancestors that have passed on. I find it a beautiful, beautiful celebration of life by remembering their death. So today we're going to talk about the altars of memories across Mexico and throughout the world. People will have family altars. These are called ofrendas, and I've created a little ofrenda for my own ancestors. I've got pictures of my grandparents and my parents with some offerings of the yellow flowers. I have yellow chrysanthemums growing in my house, so I gathered some yellow flowers to help call them home in celebration. I have my Dia de los Muertos skull that I got at a festival a couple of years ago, and an offering of some coffee because all of my ancestors really loved and enjoyed drinking coffee in the mornings and throughout the day. Big coffee family. These ofrendas are meant to help remember your loved ones' lives. They are an offering of love, not of fear, but of love. Each marigold or chrysanthemum petal is a golden path helping guide your loved ones back home in this time of remembering. People say that around the Halloween time, in other cultures, it's called Halloween and All Saints' Day. And it is when the veil is said to be very thin between the living and the dead. And the Dia de los Muertos festival is actually bringing your loved one's soul home to be with you and commune with you in your home to celebrate their life. So the yellow mums and chrysanthemums and marigolds are here to call them home. I've also got a plaque that my parents had in their house. This is a saying that my mom and dad had on their wedding rings, and it's a beautiful saying. It says, "Love never fails." And that is a Bible verse from Corinthians, that love never fails. And they found this plaque and had it hanging in their home, goodness, my entire childhood and throughout my life. And it's a memory of my parents' love for one another and the deep lessons that they taught me about how love never fails. So these are the types of things that people have on their altars of remembering their loved ones. It's a beautiful time. People might have a food offering that their loved ones loved, chocolates or sweets, or maybe cigarettes and tequila, depending on their loved ones and what they enjoyed in life. And it's a time of bringing the soul back home to have a celebration and an altar, that if their soul is here with you, that they can partake in something that brought them joy in their life. I just wanted to add that these altars aren't just for this one night of Dia de los Muertos. In Catholic churches throughout the world, you will often go and light a candle for your loved ones in a church. And that's every day. You can do that any day. In my house, I have my pictures of my grandparents and my parents on in the living room, and on a table in the living room. And every day I walk by them. And even if I'm not consciously looking at the pictures and remembering my parents, it's a way of keeping them with me throughout my life. They're kind of there in the midst of my entire chaotic life. As I'm coming and going, they get to be there with me. And I carry them in my heart with me every day, not just on this day. So it's a way to resurrect them. You're literally breathing life into their memories by living and being their life's dream. You are the dream of so many ancestors before you. I'm often reminded also that in the pregnancy process, that the mother and the baby exchange DNA through the umbilical cord. They're not just exchanging the blood flow and the plasma and things as the baby's growing, they're exchanging DNA. And throughout the mother's life, she carries the DNA of her baby. And throughout my life, I am a living, breathing memorial to my mother. I carry her DNA in my bones, in my blood. Every day is a celebration of her life and remembering the lessons that she taught me about how to live in this world, and bringing her memory to life is part of the beauty that I find in having her pictures in my living room and passing by them every day. Dia de los Muertos is the celebrations that they have are like a dance with life and death. They're dressed in the skeleton costumes and in the skeleton faces, and they're dancing, they're celebrating. It's a time of laughter, of singing and joyous celebration. And again, people might think it looks strange to celebrate death, but what they're actually doing, if you talk to anybody at a celebration, they're saying they're not scared of death. Death isn't some kind of scary monster lurking around every corner, waiting to annihilate you at any moment. Death is a friend. Death is a spirit guide. Death is part of this walk of life. And when you can learn to put away your fears about death and see it as a friend and as a guide and as an ally in this life as you walk through life, then it helps you live more fully. You're not scared of dying anymore. You're understanding that it is a part of the cycle of life. It is part of living. Cultures who teach about death and dying and who embrace death in this way have so less fear about the dying process. They're not so frightened of it. It's not such a controlling life thing. They realize that it's part of the cycle. It's part of the natural cycle of life and death and rebirth that we all go through. It's a dance. It's a chance to dance with death and to dance with all the lessons that it teaches you about how to live a better life. And that's why I love this holiday so much, because that is everything that I am trying to do in my own life and in this podcast and in my work as a death doula, to celebrate the lessons that death can teach us about the sacredness of this chance we get at life. In looking at the pictures of their loved ones and going to the grave sites in many towns in Mexico, they will actually spend part of the evening at the grave site, decorating the grave site with the marigolds and the mums, and eating the foods that their loved ones enjoyed, and spending time actually at the grave sites. And it's a time to kind of hear your ancestors, spending time telling the stories to each other about their family members, the laughs and the joys and the jokes and the good times that they had together as a family. A lot of families will look through family albums, the picture albums, and talk about all the good times they had at their grandparents' house, or all of the wonderful times that they had spending learning how to sew with their grandmother, or, these kind of stories, these family memories that literally brings their loved ones back to life and helps you carry them in their hearts. It's a wonderful time to remember the lessons that your ancestors have taught you about how to live in this world. I know that my parents are here alive with me right now as I'm doing this podcast. My mother was an English professor and taught me how to put an outline together of a story. My father was a speech and communications professor who taught me how to organize a theme and present to people in a speech. I carry them with me every time I do a podcast. And today is a wonderful day to celebrate that memory of them carrying their life with me in my heart by practicing every day what they taught me, celebrating their lessons. It's a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Again, Dia de los Muertos is more than just a Mexican holiday. It's a mirror to our human soul, to our humanness, to our cycles of life and death. No matter what your background or your culture or your belief system, it carries a message that we all need to remember, that love never dies. Like the message that my parents had on their wedding rings, love never fails, love never dies. It's a time to remember that consciousness continues on through those that are living and that carry your memory forward. And it's a time to remember the cycle that death is not the opposite of life. It's not life and death. Death is a partner that walks you home throughout your life. It's a partner. Death is a partner that gives life meaning, that helps give it purpose. The very fact that you will die someday gives life a little purpose, a little urgency to live fully. Live now. Live while you can. Dance this dance of life and death while you can. It's a wonderful reminder for me to stop fearing death and start cherishing every moment that I'm alive is a miracle. And start cherishing every breath. Every breath I take is a wonder and a joy. It's getting a hug from my ancestors, a hug from my grandmother. It's remembering. It's breathing in the life every time I tell a story about my ancestors. It's breathing life back into them. It's a real gift and a celebration. I will also say that there's a book I read years ago called The Book Thief. And it's a story of a little girl who's growing up in Nazi Germany. And in the story, she encounters a lot of the horrors of the Nazi German World War II situation of death and dying all around her. And you don't know when you're reading the book who this narrator is. There's a mysterious third-party narration going on throughout the story. And without giving too much of the book story away, you learn in the end that the narrator is death. And that death has been walking with her entire life, walking with her, cheering her on, celebrating her joys, comforting her in her griefs, and there in the time of her death as a friend to walk her home. That's the lesson that I get from celebrating this Day of the Dead. To remember that death is our spirit guide. Death is not some scary entity there to steal your life. Death is your partner. Death is your biggest cheerleader through your life. And death is your friend who will be there. So you don't die alone. You're never alone. You always have your ancestors. You always have death walking with you through this life. I'm reminded of Maya Angelou's quote. She tells a story that every time she walks into a classroom and every time she walked on stage, she would call in all of her loved ones, her teachers, anybody that had wished her well throughout her life. She would say a little prayer and call them to come with her and help her have the courage to speak with the zest of life that they bring with her. And she said that this helped her have the courage to stand up and do the wonderful speeches and speak at Bill Clinton's inauguration and be the wonderful speaker that she was, because she never felt alone. She knew she had her ancestors and guides and teachers that had gone before her. They're cheering her on and supporting her. That's the lesson that I get from this wonderful holiday of Dia de los Muertos. So, tonight, I'm going to light a candle for my ancestors. Uh-oh. There we go. And this is a time to remember all the lessons they taught me about life, all the wonderful things, all the memories, all the hugs, all the joys, all the beautiful, wonderful times, all the poignant grieving times that I've had with them. It's a time to remember and connect with my ancestors and to carry them with me in my heart. And to remember, love never fails, love never dies, and death is your friend and your spirit guide. Until next time, I'm Martha, and this is Tales of a Death Doula. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like and subscribe below. We'll see you again for another episode soon. Thank you.